It is time. I mentioned this earlier in the show, but it is time to do NFL QB free agency minute to win it. I did this last year on BugscrollRadio.com. It was a lot of fun. If you guys have never watched the game show with Guy Fieri, go on YouTube. Make sure to check it out. We basically have 60 seconds to talk about NFL teams and what they should do with their quarterback. In some situations, it's specific quarterbacks, like a Russell Wilson, like an Aaron Rodgers, like a Deshaun Watson. In other situations, it's what should the team do, like a Saints or a Denver or a Carolina that really has no clue on what they're doing. We know they're moving off their quarterback, but how should they go about what should their quarterback situation look like last season? Last year when I did this, I was pretty correct on most of my opinions. I nailed Mac Jones going to New England in the draft. I thought for sure Seattle would move off Russell Wilson because it kind of felt like the time. Obviously, that did not happen. I said that the Eagles should stick with Jalen Hurts. I looked to be right on that. I said the Giants should move off Daniel Jones. Looked to be right on that, even though they did not move off him. That's what I would have done, and they probably should have. So let's see how it's going to shape out this year. With NFL free agency just about a week away, let's see what these quarterbacks and these teams end up doing in their situation. The quarterback position we know is the most important in sports, so we got to get it right. Without further ado, let's introduce you to the host of the game show, Guy Fieri.
A minute to win it. Good luck.
You Guy, here we go with the number one person on the board today, Aaron Rodgers. So I said this early in the show. I am without a doubt 100% on the Green Bay Packers sticking to number 12 in Green Bay. Listen, Jordan Love, we saw him last year against Kansas City. We saw him against the Detroit Lions. The dude is not ready to play. Don't give me preseason. He's playing vanilla basic defenses. I don't care how good he looked in the preseason. The fact of the matter is he just cannot play. Green Bay is in an easy division with Minnesota, Chicago, and Detroit. They're easily the second team in the NFC, if not the best team next season. Without a doubt, if I'm Green Bay, I'm trying to trade Jordan Love for a first-round pick, rebuild my defense, and work around with Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so that was Aaron Rodgers. Up next, what are we going to do in Seattle with Russell Wilson?
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
So if I'm Seattle, I'm in a division with Trey Lance potentially. We know has a lot of talent with the San Francisco 49ers, Matthew Stafford, and Kyler Murray. You would think there's no way I move off Russ, unlike last year. But I think there is a pathway. I think if they call the Cleveland Browns to get Russ out of the NFC, you move into the AFC, you get Baker Mayfield, you get a corner like a Greedy Williams, and you get a couple of firsts, I think both teams would agree to that. The Browns aren't going to move off Baker Mayfield unless they get a big-time stud quarterback like a Russell Wilson or a Deshaun Watson. And with Baker Mayfield, Pete Carroll will be able to run the football. So if I can't get a Baker Mayfield like back, I'm not moving off Russ. To me, if I'm Seattle, it's either Russ is staying in Seattle or he's going to Cleveland. We barely beat the clock there, folks. 4 seconds to go. What are we doing up next with Deshaun Watson if I'm the Houston Texans?
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
So as I mentioned last year, I said if I'm Houston, I'm not trading off Shaun Watson. He's a young quarterback. He's way too valuable for me to move off. The fact of the matter is, at the end of the season last year, under David Culley, Davis Mills looked like he made some progress. He looked like he could play quarterback in the National Football League. I'm not saying he's the franchise, but I think at this point now, I can survive without Deshaun Watson. I can find a new quarterback in the 2023 draft class, which is apparently loaded. At this point, I'm not even considering, Miami or whatever team Whatever team Deshaun Watson wants to go to, I am asking for the best offer. I will take the deal. I got to get this Shaun Watson mess off my hands as soon as this legal situation clears up. So unlike last year where I said there's no way I'm moving up to Shaun Watson, this season I've seen enough on a Davis Mills. Yes, I'd move off of number 4 in Houston. And once again, 4 seconds to spare. Not bad here. We're moving on to the 4th team here, the San Francisco 49ers. What should they do with Jimmy Garoppolo?
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
So if a word to this a couple times, listen, we know the Niners are going to start Trey Lance more than likely next season. We know Jimmy Garoppolo has shoulder surgery scheduled, which will put him out most of training camp. That will hopefully not affect the trade offers too much for him. I've seen enough out of Jimmy Garoppolo. He is too limited in that division to win. Yes, the Niners could have gone to the Super Bowl with him, but they had to play picture-perfect defense and hope they got to within 2 minutes of a ball game. It's kind of Tebow-esque in a way, where the Denver defense was so good that Tebow would just make clutch throws at the end to win ball games. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a great quarterback, but he is a clutch quarterback. But at the end of the day, if I could get a 2nd or a 3rd round pick, I'm moving up Jimmy Garoppolo. I spent way too much of my investments for Trey Lance. I have to see what this kid is about next year. I'm training Jimmy G, and I'm putting Trey Lance on the field. Man, I'm nailing this in 4 seconds. All right, up next, the Indianapolis Colts. What do we do with Carson Wentz?
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
I know Wentz played bad the last 2 games of last season, but from what I saw in 2017 with the Philadelphia Eagles, I've said it ever since, I cannot get over that magical season Wentz had. He's 6'5", big kid, strong arm, tough. It's just his head. And I don't know what that Jadeveon Clowney gets from 2-3 years ago, messed his head up forever, but I've seen too much talent from Wentz to move off him. Who are you going to get? Mitch Trubisky, a Jameis Winston who also turns the ball over a lot? To me, if I'm the Colts, wasn't Frank Reich knows Carson Wentz? You have a running game with Jonathan Taylor. You have a good receiver, Michael Pittman. You have Jack Doyle, a tight end. I'm surrounding Wentz with more weapons. I'm drafting receivers. I'm drafting another tight end in this draft. I'm helping my secondary get a little bit better. And I'm sticking with Wentz for the 2022 NFL season. Up next, what do we do with the Steelers, and who will their quarterback be to begin the 2022 NFL season?
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
I've heard a lot of this about Malik Willis, but folks, I don't buy it. The Steelers know about Kenny Pickett. He obviously plays at Pittsburgh, who plays at Heinz Field. They know everything about the kid. I'm not buying Mason Rudolph. I'm not buying Dwayne Haskins. If I'm Pittsburgh, I'm trading a 1st round pick. I'm trading 2, whatever it takes to get in that top 5, 6, 7, 8 range. And I'm going to draft Kenny Pickett, the kid out of Pittsburgh, and I am starting him week 1 next season. Your season will be a lost cause if you start Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins. You might as well let Dwayne and Mason Rudolph teach Kenny Pickett. Let Kenny Pickett learn as he goes. The kid has been in college. He knows the area, much like Joe Burrow did. He's from Athens, Ohio, when the Bengals drafted him. Kenny Pickett, he played at Pittsburgh. He knows Pittsburgh. The Steelers fans will embrace him. It'll be a lot easier to move off Ben Roethlisberger. I'm sticking with Kenny Pickett. I'm drafting from the Steelers. We barely got that in on time there. So moving on from the Steelers, again, I have them drafting Kenny Pickett. So in their own division then, the Cleveland Browns, what's the decision on Baker Mayfield?
The game begins in 3, 2.
To me, it's this simple. If I don't get a great offer for him, like a Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, you keep Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is not a bad quarterback. He is an above average quarterback. But as I have repeatedly said throughout the whole season, Baker Mayfield's not better than Joe Burrow. He's not better than Lamar Jackson. If Kenny Pickett goes to the Steelers, I'm not even sure he's better than Kenny Pickett right out of the gate. You may be 4th best in quarterback in your own division. by the end of the season. That's not good, but Baker Mayfield's not a bad quarterback. It's just the world is changing. We want special quarterbacks. And the Browns, you got to focus on drafting weapons. You got to get a Garrett Wilson, a Jameson Williams, a Chris Olave out wide receiver. Retain David Njoku. Maybe you bring back Austin Hooper. Maybe you don't. I don't know. You got to surround this kid with weapons. You have 2 great running backs. Yes, he's not a great quarterback, but if there's no better option, I got to keep him. So to me, it's rush to Shaun Watson, or you keep Baker Mayfield if I'm Andrew Berry and crew. Nailed that one right on the button in 60 seconds. Up next, what do we do with the Denver Broncos situation at quarterback?
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
To me, this is one of those ones where you go out and you sign a veteran. You go out, Pittsburgh does somehow release Dwayne Haskins. You go get him. Or, Sam Darnold's available. Or Teddy Bridgewater, Ryan Fitzpatrick. One of these guys. Maybe you bring back Bridgewater, as I just said. I don't know. But you go out, you sign a veteran, and then you go and you draft Malik Willis. I think this would be a perfect fit. I think Malik Willis, I think Denver needs a shape-up, man. I think you're in a division with Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr. You're very far behind in the quarterback race. You're by far number 4. You have a great roster. I understand that. But to me, Malik Willis would be a great fit for this team. He'd bring a dynamic that Herbert and Mahomes and Carr don't break with the more Lamar Jackson running ass type. I think that would make Denver different, and with this roster, they got to be aggressive. But I think you need some warning, so you got to bring in a veteran to at least start the season. Right on time again. Now, here we go. What do we do with the Las Vegas Raiders and Derek Carr? The question here is, am I moving off Derek Carr?
The game begins in 3, 2.
The answer to that is absolutely hell no. I'm not moving off Derek Carr at all. He's a top 12 quarterback in the National Football League. He is clutch. He is a winner. He overcame a boatload of cash. I thought Rich Bisaccia deserved that job in the offseason. They obviously won. They got an offensive mind in Josh McDaniels. Sure, that's fine. But Derek Carr is a winner. Yeah, sure, he's 3rd in the division. But guess what? The NFC West is as stagnant as the AFC West is a quarterback. You're not going to get better if you move off Derek Carr unless you're going for Deshaun Watson. If you want to go for Deshaun Watson, that's fine. I wasn't that arguing. Besides, I thought this is a real easy decision. I'm sticking with Derek Carr on the Las Vegas Raiders, and quite frankly, I think they could still make the playoffs next year if Derek Carr is their starting quarterback. All right, so that was a real easy one there. We didn't even really need all the time there. Up next, what do we do in Philadelphia as we move to the NFC side mostly here with Jalen Hurts?
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
So with most of these NFC East teams, I'm just going to repeat basically what I said last year. Jalen Hurts. Listen, he's shown progress throughout the year. Does he need to improve as a passer? Absolutely. But the Eagles' weapons outside of Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert are not great. I didn't even think Devontae Smith is the number 1 wide receiver. Quite frankly, I thought he was overrated. I would have been coming out of Alabama. If I'm Howie Roseman, I use those 3 first-round picks. I'm not drafting a quarterback. I'm wanting Jalen Hurts to develop. I go get a receiver. I go get a defensive lineman. I may go get another receiver later in the draft. I got to surround this kid with weapons, make him comfortable as he goes into year 3 and year 2 of Nick Sirianni's system. You let Jalen Hurts grow. You don't mess with his development. And if he doesn't work, then you can trade him in a first-round pick in 2023 and go get a better quarterback in a better quarterback class. For this year, you got to stick with number 1 under center if you are Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles. Nailed it right on time. Up next then, what are we going to do in Washington with the Washington football team and their quarterback situation? With them, to me, it's very simple. You got to move off Taylor Heineke. You don't have to necessarily go and sign a veteran, but at first, I would go try to get Russell Wilson. If that is not possible, then I would try and move up in the draft and select Malik Willis. You got to get more dynamic in the quarterback situation. Right now, you're 3rd in the division. You're behind Dallas. You're behind the Eagles in the quarterback. Malik Willis is a runner, and with not a good offensive line, I think you can make it work. He's very similar to Jalen Hurts in that regard. And that division, you can win with defense and good quarterback play. thing is about Taylor Heineke to me, he's too inconsistent, and you got to get more dynamic. Russell Wilson would arguably make Washington a Super Bowl contender. That's how good I think their defense can be. But I think it's highly unlikely they get him, so I would, if it's in the draft, I would go draft a young kid and let him develop. Keep Taylor Heineke as my backup. Maybe he starts a few games before I let Malik Willis play. So again, that is the Washington football team. What are we going to do up next with the New York Giants and Daniel Jones?
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
So they have a new head coach now, Brian Dable. He's an offensive mind. Now, I don't think they're going to get Russell Wilson. Yes, I'm mentioning Russell Wilson a lot here because he feels that the quarterback that's most likely to be traded if he does get traded. But I don't think the Giants or the football team are likely to get him. So if I'm the Giants, I got to draft a quarterback. I got to be aggressive. I got 2 top 10 picks, one from the Bears in the Justin Fields trade, one of my own. I use those to maybe even move up or get a wide receiver with the second pick. I don't care who it is in this situation. I don't care if it's Kenny Pickett. I don't care if it's Malik Willis. They just need a change at the quarterback situation. They need it desperately at that position. Daniel Jones is not it. Brian Dable knows it. The Giants know it. The question is, will they be big boys enough and move off Daniel Jones? Again, don't need the full time there because Daniel Jones is just a lost cause. All right, we're down to the final 3. Up next, what are we doing in the NFC South? Kicking things off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
So this is the spot where I ideally want to see Jimmy Garoppolo go with the Niners trip. I think it would make sense. Tampa Bay still has great weapons. Now they're going to have Mike Evans. They may lose Chris Godwin. They may lose Gronk. O.J. Howard, Cam Brate are still there. Their offensive line is still good. I know that they lost Mark Pat. They're still going to be pretty good though up front. They have a great young right tackle. Interesting words. Their defense, which on Bulls is still going to be good. So this team could still potentially win the division if they get the quarterback right. Right now, only Kyle Trask and Blaine Gabbert are on the roster. That's not going to work. They need to be aggressive. I would go out and I would get Jimmy G. If you can't get Jimmy G, though, I think a reunion with Jameis Winston and Bruce Arians and Tampa is possible. I think the Saints are going to move off Jameis Winston. I'll get to that here in a second. But if Jameis cuts down those turnovers, I could really see the Bucs making it to the playoffs. Not a Super Bowl contender, but a playoff contender with Winston or Garoppolo under center. Nailed it. 60 seconds, run on the dot. Up next, then, folks, what are we doing in New Orleans with the Saints?
The game begins in 3, 2,
With them,
1.
to me, I think you're going to move out Jameis Winston. I think you keep Taysom Hill for 1 year because I think you go and you drop Malik Willis. To me, this is the perfect fit for him. I mentioned Denver, Washington, some other teams in there, maybe even the Giants. But with Taysom Hill running the show for 1 year, teaching Malik Willis the ropes, I think the Saints need a rebound here. They lost Sean Payton. I think it needs to take Dennis Allen a year to figure it out. They have a good defense. You can let Taysom Hill play for a year, let Malik Willis develop, and then next season, you have him come in and change the world in New Orleans in a very winnable division. To me, it makes the most sense. I don't think you can run it back with Jameis Winston. I don't think Ian Book is a franchise. I don't think you can bring back Trevor Siemian. I think it is Willis, and I think it is Taysom Hill. I think you let Taysom start the year, but you let Willis come in at the end of the year. By next year, though, to me, Willis is your franchise quarterback if you are the New Orleans Saints. And finally, in Carolina, what do you do with Sam Darnold in your Matt Rule? Do you keep him or not?
The game begins in 3,
Sam
2,
Darnold, to me,
1.
I'm moving off him if I'm Carolina. Maybe, it doesn't really matter what quarterback you take. If you can't get Kenny Pickett or Willis, you're obviously going to keep Sam Darnold, I feel like, but you may trade him by draft time. They got to get more dynamic at quarterback. This is a winning division. The Falcons are not very good. Yeah, they have some pieces with Matt Ryan and Kyle Pitts, but they're not spectacular, and they may be the best quarterback-wise in the division right now. Very winnable division with all 4 teams. I already mentioned the Saints and Bucs plans. If the Bucs get Jimmy Garoppolo or Jameis Winston, they're probably the top team in the conference. But Carolina's got Christian McCaffrey, they got Robbie Anderson, they got DJ Moore, they got some offensive pieces. They have a good defense. They have to get better quarterback. I'd go draft a quarterback and sign a veteran. I try to trade Sam Darnold, and you let that young quarterback develop in a week. NFC South Division. And that's it, folks. That is Minute to Win It NFL Free Agency Quarterback Edition 2022.